My name is Sacko, and I work with fashion. For a very long time, I was ashamed of saying those specific words out loud. Today, I will share my story of how I left the industry trying to make it better. For the past 20 years, I've been working in the textile industry, mainly with production, buying, and design. I've been drawing sustainable material roadmaps for large companies. I've been working hands-on with textile sorting for charity organizations and with talent development for the next generation of fashion designers. But let's go back to the beginning. When I was a young female working in the big conventional fashion industry, I naively thought I could make a difference. I find myself ending up in complex scenarios, trying to push for sustainability to the point that I drove myself to extortion. I could not work in a business model that was built on shorter lead times, cheaper garments, and higher volumes. A business model also known as the fast fashion model. In the middle of the pandemic, I decided to quit. So much of my identity was rooted in my job. Fashion was all I knew. How could I ever work with something else? As I'm struggling trying to justify how I could continue working in this industry and at the same time stay true to my values, I came to realize I was not ashamed of working with fashion. I was ashamed of a system. At one point in my career, I was living in Shanghai, working with production. My job was to be the designer's eye in making a garment. I came to see a part of the industry not many people in this side of the world get to see. By being in production, it was obvious to me how much time, effort, and expertise was put behind every single sample. My most important job was communicating to my team on the other side of the world what consequences our design decisions led to. We did not talk about sustainability in the same way as we do now, but we were no longer disconnected from production, and we took responsibility for it. We were making more sustainable choices, trying to reduce the amount of physical samples, not asking for more than we needed. But it felt like our efforts were never enough. When I left the industry, I thought, how can I work with something else? And my next biggest interest is vintage and secondhand. This way, I could still work with what I love, but in a more sustainable way. To me, vintage represents timeless design, high quality, and durability, making it something you can wear over and over again. After spending some time in the sorting facilities, I was honestly shocked with what I saw. Is this what tomorrow's vintage will look like? Some garments were discarded because of being dirty or broken, and that makes sense. But it was also an amount of newly produced garments, sometimes with a price tag still on them, that represented something else. These garments were obviously cheap enough for someone to donate them instead of wearing them. And sometimes the quality was just too poor for this garment to ever be circulating again. I was triggered by this. And let's imagine if we were never ever to produce one single garment of fabric again, what type of creativity and business opportunity would come out of looking at this pile of textiles that we classify as waste? This is a picture from Ghana. This is a landfill, and these landfills exist. The locals there refer to this pile of textiles as dead white man's clothes. Because how could any living, breathing being throw away such resources? But this is a result of a throw-away culture. This pile represents me, it represents you, and it represents the symptoms of overproduction and overconsumption. Again, a disconnect. But why don't we just recycle it? The truth is that recycled fibers makes up a very small part of the materials used in our industry. A common myth that we made more progress in innovation than we actually have. A colleague once described the complexity to me so well, and this is what she said. Recycling textiles to textiles, it's like baking a cake. Imagine you put together all of your ingredients, blending the sugar with the butter, with the flour, and then you bake your cake. Now, try to remove all of these ingredients, putting them back in its original form. It's the same way with textiles. So can we hold two thoughts in our head at the same time? Can we continue working with material and innovation and at the same time try to reuse as many garments that already exist as possible, with the ambition of keeping them at their highest quality for as long as possible before downcycling them? Let me give you one example. Towels. Towels is a textile fraction that comes in high volumes to the sorting facilities. But let's be honest, not many people prefer to buy their towels secondhand. This is Elinor Nilsson, a fashion designer from Gothenburg. At one period in time, she was working as a textile sorter. She could not overlook the potential in these towels, so she started to collect them. With her good sense for quality, print, and color, she designed beautiful bathrobes that everybody wanted out of towels that nobody wanted. These were sold out within minutes to a fairly high price. She turned waste into treasure. But what I find most interesting in Elinor's story is how connected she was to her own process. She saw potential in something that we classified as waste. She sourced her own materials. She sewed her first garments herself, and later collaborated with a microfactory in Sweden around creating efficient ways of producing redesign where every single garment is unique. What scaling looked like to her was not producing volumes, but to collaborate with larger companies around her circular ideas. That could mean helping companies to bring back previous collections and making new garments out of old garments. So what does this mean for tomorrow's fashion designers? I'm honored to be working with talent development, supporting fashion designers in Western Sweden for a circular transition. In the project Textile Movement Talent at Lindholmen Science Park, we are fostering a new wave of fashion designers, preparing them for a new system. This means connecting them to industry professionals, to the innovation system, and to incubators to collectively drive change. We have created support tracks where we learn about textile sorting, redesign, local production, new innovation, and entrepreneurship. It's a way of tackling new questions, trying to find potential in the challenges that we are facing. I would like to show some examples of the talents that we work with in our program. They are all working with upcycling in different ways, and this is what it could look like. This is Sylvie Sinclair. She works with wool waste from the Swedish wool industry. This is Linda Dekla. She's working with repurposing knitted tablecloths and curtains. This is Kristin Boström, who developed a panel technique where she sews together panels of secondhand fabric, creating new fabric. These are all tomorrow's fashion. But these talents are not just a source of inspiration. They are the ones leading the way. Their circular solutions can potentially be scaled and shift an entire system. But the truth is that they are struggling trying to maintain a circular business in a linear system. As long as it's cheaper to buy a new pair of jeans instead of fixing the broken zipper, support is needed. Back to the pile of textiles. How do we take care of it and clean up our own mess? With the EU regulations implemented earlier this year, it makes it illegal to throw these textiles in the household waste or to destroy them. This transparency makes it more obvious than ever what we have to deal with. We are no longer disconnected to this pile of textiles, and we have to take responsibility for it. I believe Sweden can be leading in this transformation. We have a strong history of design and quality, we have world-class designers, and we have top fashion schools. We have amazing charity organization that holds tremendous expertise of textile sorting. Swedish people are also very good recyclers. We care about the environment, and we want to do the right thing. So while redesign is not the answer to everything, it's a part of driving change. And let's remember, this should never be about creating a slightly better version of the same broken model. It's about creating a new one. So, here I am, wearing my values. This shirt was tailored for my father sometime in the 90s in Bamako, Mali. Mali is a country that holds its textile traditions highly. There, you buy the fabric, you meet the tailor, and you have a unique garment tailored and measured to your exact measurements and body. It's an investment, it's an understanding, and it's an involvement, making it so much more than just a garment. It's about connection. If I'm fortunate to have grandchildren one day, maybe I have the opportunity to pass down this shirt, tell them how it was made, what it represents, and how I, once upon a time, had the opportunity to speak about how proud I am to be working for a more sustainable fashion industry. Thank you so much.